Today on the deep dive, we have Mr. Curt Baker, and he is a senior vice president for Wilson Bank and Trust. Now, I didn't know that much about Wilson Bank and Trust, but did a little bit of research. And Curt, you are a $4.8 billion company with 34 locations. Did I get that right or anywhere close?
That's close enough. As of this morning, it was about 4.925. So we're approaching the $5 billion mark. Yeah.
Woo! That is amazing.
Yeah. It's been great. It's been great. I've been here for 19 years. Of course, the bank, we've been here in the community for 37 years. And just, man, it's one of those true hometown, homegrown success stories. And at the end of the day, it all starts with taking care of people. And that's something that we believed in day number one, all the way 37 years later. It's still all about taking care of the person in front of you and how we can help better the neighborhoods that we serve.
So you actually have personal banking. I know a lot of places have personal banking, but that's something you actually have.
Absolutely. Face-to-face interaction is still, that's the name of our game here at the bank.
Yeah, I appreciate you wearing your tag too. That's good. You're going to be branding, man. It's all about branding. So I'm really, we got this. Our business is hard.
I mean, it's about the branding the bank and branding yourself as a banker too. So
absolutely. Well, I talked to a few of your friends. Everybody talks highly about you and on every level, that you're an astonishing asset for the bank, that you're just a really good human.
my wife would probably disagree sometimes. But no, it's appreciate the kind words. And it's one of those things, Rick. I didn't grow up around here. I grew up in a very similar neighboring community in Gallatin over in Sumner County. And Cumberland University is what brought me here to Wilson County back in 2001 when I graduated high school. Played a little bit of football, and that's what brought me to Cumberland University. UT Knoxville was Dr. Stone will probably close his ears on that one. That was always a dream of mine. Grew up a big Orange fan, but I love the game of football, and I wasn't good enough to play at a big school, so I came to a small school, and that's kind of what kept my focus and kept me focused on grades and the academics in front of me. And when I was getting close to graduating, I was like, why not stay here in Wilson County? Everybody here has always been so supportive and more than anything, very welcoming. Not being from here, welcoming to the community. And I was like, well, why am I going to go back home when I have the opportunity to stay here with a bunch of good people around me? And that's what I did. And, somewhat 2001. So that puts me 23-year native of Wilson County. And man, best decision I ever made in my life, staying here in Wilson County and at Wilson Bank and Trust.
Well, it's amazing. This is a great place to live. I don't know if it's a best kept secret around or what. My wife and I lived here for 20 years now, and we couldn't be any happy. We're not going anywhere. There are people like yourself. The entire county is filled with wonderful, interesting people that do wonderful, interesting things. And I applaud your judgment by staying here.
Yeah.
And you built a new house recently. I drove by your new house yesterday. I live just near Friendship Christian, north on Brea Church. So I skated over there and checked out your very nice home. You're a blessed man.
Well, thank you. That was a project we actually broke ground. I guess what's today, April 11th. So it's been about a year, 11 months, and 20 days ago we broke ground. So it was an 18-month project. We dealt exclusively with Fates and Hooker, a great local company here that was founded in Lebanon. And man, that's back in the crunch when if you wanted a certain type of window, it was going to take you 6 to 8 months to get. And on the front end, you're thinking, 6 to 8 months, that's not a lot of time. Well, what I didn't know, never building a house, is that, hey, your house cannot move forward until that window gets here with bricking and trim, all that jazz. So, man, it was a process of 18 months. So we still got some yard work to do and stuff like that, but we are blessed, certainly.
That looks like a forever home. Like you're gonna just hang out there in a beautiful setting and on a quiet country road, enjoy life.
That's what we tend to like to do when we're not at the ball fields every night of the week. But yeah, we built it. We designed it to where, hey, when the kids are gone, the house is still functional as a one level house for me and my wife. And they're going to cart me out of there. I don't know if that's tomorrow morning or if that's, 50 years down the road, but that's where I plan to be for the rest of my life.
That is awesome. So what gets you up in the morning? What brings a smile to your face? What do you get excited about when someone brings up this topic? I know you like the Yankees, but what really gets you going? What keeps you moving and motivated?
Well, I'm a big sports guy, so I love sports, but my family first and foremost is what motivates me to get up and go to work every day. I got mouths to feed at home, obviously, but that's just what I try to do in my professional, whether it's professional, personal life, or whatever. I'm not the smartest person in the room, Rick. I am humble enough to tell you that, and I never will be. I've surrounded myself with good, smart people, but really, something that motivates me is just work ethic. I truly believe, or I try to instill in my life, that there's nobody specifically in the banking world or my peers, nobody is going to come to work and outwork me. And I have a lot of good folks around me that will, some days outwork me and stuff. But that's at least what I try to do is roll up my sleeves, work hard for the people I serve, and hopefully instill that in my kids too. Because not all the time is it going to be right up here, but it's about how motivated you are to arrive early, stay late, disciplinary things like that. That you can, people watch you. I got eyes all around me that watch me here at this bank every single day, but I also got two kids at home that they watch me every single day. And if there's anything that I hope they learn from their daddy, is to please always go to work and give it 110%.
Well, you're inspiring not only your children, but everybody around you, including your team members. The a rising tide lifts all boats, and by that example that you set, a number of people that I've talked to have said that you are a hardworking, dedicated, methodical person that has high standards, and if you can have people say that about you, you're doing something right, and obviously you are. My daughter is 21 now, and she doesn't live with us, but when she did, she had bat ears. We could be on the bottom floor and she could be on the top, and she could know what we're talking about. They are always paying attention, whether you know it or not. You're two boys, right?
I've got a little girl and a son. Yeah.
And literally, they're listening to you, Curt. You know that, and that example that says a lot about you. What gets you out of bed is your family.
Yeah.
Period. Full stop.
And speaking of family, it's one of those things too, Rick, that it's just not my family at home. And is the cliche line is that you spend more time at work with your coworkers than you do your actually your family at home. And that is, I mean, I will tell you, I mean, I look out the room and I see Miss Carolyn Cathy. I still remember she was one of the first people 19 years ago when I walked up in this bank. She was one of the first people that I met. And we talk a lot about, because I was still in college when I started working here. I still had 6 months to go, and I could leave work, go to class, come back in between, go to class again, come back. And she still remembers. We all had those days in our 20s when we were still college students, right? And we laugh all the time. She says that today, when I was back in 2000, and I guess that was 2005 when I started here, that Curt Baker is not going to make it at this place. He still has his party hat on. His priorities are out of line. And luckily I didn't get fired and I'm still here. But really, it is people like Miss Carolyn Cathy and other folks that I work with. It truly is a family atmosphere here at Wilson Bank. And that's not accredited to me. It's always been like that here at the bank. And as well as a lot of places in the work environment. If you don't have that family environment, work and just atmosphere around you, I don't know. So I do it also for the folks that I work with, because they are lifelong friends and their family.
Well, you're building a culture and a community and a company all at one time, and if everybody does their job and you work well together, it makes life so easy, because you can approach them and say, what do we need to change here, or what should I do, or and everybody will give you their real opinion. And everybody knows what the culture is. You're going to help your people. You're going to help the people you serve, and then they in kind are going to find that's the thing to do. This is our path, and you're setting a path for them, and it's great. It's amazing.
Yeah, hopefully it's definitely one of those, in a spiritual way, through God. Just it's one of those pay it forward type deals in life. And like I said, no matter where you go and what you're doing, you always have eyes on you. Rick, you do, I do, we all do around us. And hopefully somebody is seeing something that I do, and hopefully I'm acting the way I'm supposed to, that they pay it forward and they do it as well with their team around here too. So it's just a great place. So, I mean, circling back to the question, what gets me up every single morning? It's just, I'm happy. I'm completely happy with life. I'm sold on Wilson Bank. This is where I'll retire. My home that I built, that's where I'm going to live until the day I die. I'm a very loyal person. Once I get in that groove and I find something where it's a great thing for myself as well as the other party, it's hard for me to get out of it. So very loyal, and I don't like change. But I still remember one time having a conversation with my brother when, of course, in the banking profession, things can get quite competitive, and there was a competitor that was calling me saying, "Hey, Curt, would you ever be interested in coming to work with us?" And called my brother, and he's like, "Curt, you're so darn conservative. You ain't ever leaving Wilson Bank." He's like, "I don't even know why you're considering, talking to somebody." And I didn't or anything like that, but I am, very conservative and very loyal, and it's just been a great partnership here with the bank and my team that I lead.
So, Wilson Bank and Trust was lucky you walked through the door. You could have walked through the door of many banks. And why did you choose this particular? Was Gary Whitaker there at the time?
Gary was. And before Gary is, so my cousin Mike Baker worked here at the bank, and suddenly and tragically he was killed in a car accident back in 2001. He was a senior vice president at the time of his passing. And really, at that time, I just knew him as my cousin Mike. That's all I knew is cousin Mike. I knew him on holidays. I knew who he was around the family, but I didn't know the impact that he was making in his community and here at Wilson Bank. And so I guess circling back around to springtime of 2005, my Aunt Charlene worked here as a new accounts representative. And she had told the CEO, Randall Clemens, that, "Hey, my nephew, Curt Baker, is getting ready to graduate college. Would you want to talk to him about a job?" And they're like, "Yeah, sure." Well, at that time, I still remember and I still remember the salary that I agreed to. I was supposed to go work for Belk Retail Stores back in Gallatin as some form of a shift manager, probably late shift or something, not making very much money, and really didn't know what I wanted to do either. I just figured I'd kind of figure it out once I graduated and moved on. So the CEO of the bank and president of the bank, Randall Clemens and Elmer Richardson, said, "Hey, would you be interested in coming in and talking to us?" And I said I would. And so I came in. I think at the end of the conversation, I walked in. I still remember what I was wearing: a flannel shirt, baggy blue jeans, and Doc Martin boots. I mean, that was dressed up for a college.
Yeah, get your docs on.
Had a big goatee on my face at that point, and they said, "Would you be interested in cleaning your image up a little bit and do it for us?" And I said, "Yeah, absolutely. Why not? I'll give it a try." So I still remember I didn't have any money because I was playing football. I didn't have a chance to have a job because I was playing. And my mom took me to Belk Outlet Store and JCPenney's, a couple other places. She bought me my first 3 suits. And one of them I still got. And I don't wear it because it's all old and raggedy, but I keep it because it's my favorite color suit of all time, but also as a memento that, hey, my mom helped me get started, here at the bank. And started here at that time. And man, it's just, God has really, really taken care of me and watched over me and blessed me. And it was kind of one of those things. It wasn't a decision to come work here. It was a job at that point. It was a paycheck. And
Right.
How a job or a paycheck turns into a career, to where now it's 19 years. And I can tell you, hey, I don't know if I'll work till 65. I hope I'm able to retire sooner. But it's one of those things that this is where I want to finish the rest of my life.
Well, do you start out as a teller, or how does that work? What?
Well, circling back to Gary Whitaker, it was I started off in what at the time we
Don't you love Gary?
Oh my goodness, I've already talked about him This is the third time I've talked about Gary today, and he doesn't even work here anymore. And he actually texted me today. But he, I started off in the management trainee program here at the bank, and at that time it was a formalized program, but it's nowhere near as structured as what we have today. But it had just launched, and basically it's where you would travel around to the different departments of the bank and get to understand a broad, vast understanding how the bank operates. And then at the end of the 12 months, you would then, report back to management and say, hey, this is what I like, and this is kind of what I want to do. And if there was an open position, they would fill you in it. And, but basically a program for aspiring leader in the bank. Well, I guess about 5 or 6 months into that program, Gary Whitaker came and sat down and talked to me. And that was, 5 or 6 months into the program. He said, Curt, I started my career in the collections department. And I think the best way to train a lender here at the bank is for them to understand what type of loans not to make in order to become a good lender.
Good
And
call.
little did I know, he just had an open position. He was trying to fill a seat. He was selling me a bill of goods. But he said, give me 2 or 3 years in this department, learn the type of loans you don't want to make, and then we'll transform you into lender or loan officer here at the bank. And I said, okay, Gary, I'll do it for you. So 2009 comes, and 2008, 2009 comes, and what happens? Housing bubble burst. Okay. I'd done my 2 to 3 years in the collection department at that point. The bank can't afford to get me out of the collection department. I'm honestly lucky to have a job in the banking industry at that point. But if I do have a job, the job I wanted was in the collection department, because there's nowhere that you want to go at that point other than collections, because nobody's lending any money. Well, he came to me, and at that point I was hourly and working $40, or I'm sorry, not $40, 40 hours a week. And he came to me and said, hey, we've pretty much done a freeze on overtime here at the bank, but there is no limit to your overtime. And again, going back to the work ethic, I'm sitting there like, dude, I'm a single guy. I'll work 65, 70 hours a week and rack up stuff. And I did. And I was doing my job because obviously there was a lot of collections going on in the banking industry at that point. And so I learned a lot through that period of my life, and then ultimately did get an opportunity to be a loan officer. And there's really that point in my life or my career, I would not go back and do over for $1 million, because it taught me so much. And I got a lot of interaction with Gary, a lot of interaction with a lot of other higher level lenders here at the bank that taught me a lot through that time period. So wouldn't trade it for anything.
Well, you just made the right steps, whether you knew it or not. As you
I told you I'm not a smart person. I don't I don't even say by happenstance. It's a God thing. God's always kind of guided me and directed me, and I didn't make those decisions. They just kind of fell in my lap, and at His grace, and I moved through them.
Isn't that right? His grace. That's a fact. Now there are a number of people who will say that you are the smartest person in the room and the sharpest tool in the shed. There's some people out there in your corner. I'll just tell you that right now.
I appreciate that. I am prone to sticking my foot in my mouth from time to time, though. I will tell you
that. So you went to Cumberland, and that is such a gem in our community. It's amazing. Dr. Stum, as you know, is doing remarkable things there now, but it's been a great college forever. And you chose that, came across the river.
Yeah.
You were a Green Wave. I heard this word Green Wave today. It was the first thing I heard, Green Wave.
Yeah. I was a Gallatin Green Wave. Still, I'm proud of my hometown. Don't get me wrong. I love Wilson County and Lebanon, but I'm proud to be from Gallatin, Tennessee.
So what's your take on Cumberland now? I mean, this is an exciting time for them, isn't it?
And it's very exciting time. They just continue to embrace academics. When I was there back in 01 and 05, it was a good school. But make no mistake about it, since Dr. Stum has come on as dean and now he's president of the university and stuff, it's just, man, Rick, it's at a different level now academically than it ever has been. You can tell just by their tremendous growth, the record number of enrollment, whether it's people living on campus or off-campus students, doesn't even matter. But when you have pressure on your housing, that's when you're doing something right up there. It's not a great thing. I'm sure Dr. Stone would disagree with me. Probably he's like, man, we need to have somewhere to house these students, and I agree with that 100%. But when you have so much interest in your school, and it's not just Wilson County folks, it's not just Tennessee folks, it's all across the country. It's out of the United States of America. I mean, he's doing it, and not just him, but everybody up there. It's just it's been a game changer. what they're doing in the athletic front. Ron Pavin and his group up there continues to add sports and even esports. I mean, I didn't know esports was much of a thing until like the last 12,
Who
24
knew?
months. But they're winning national championships in the esports now. So I like that. Good folks. And again, I wasn't there during the time period of Dr. Stum and Ron Pavin and those, but I would consider two of those guys not just peers here in Wilson County, but they're good friends of mine too. See Ron or Dr. Stum and Christy at the ballpark. Our kids play ball together. Ron, his son-in-law, DeJay Woods, works here for us in the lending department here at the main office. So, again, going back to it, it's just as a banker or really any profession, you should be in the people business. And it's about knowing those people. And that's, if anything, being here in Lebanon, Wilson County, everybody's just so friendly and really family-like atmosphere. So love Cumberland. Go Phoenix. My son loves baseball. Woody Hunt, what a staple and gem of his own right at Cumberland University. Just continue to stay in touch with him. I didn't play ball for Woody, but I've gotten to know Woody quite a bit over the last probably 10, 15 years. Still remember being out there when the tornado came through back in 2020 and his house being severely damaged, driving by, checking on him, seeing if there's anything that we can do. Of course, he had 50, 75 baseball players out there clearing debris and stuff, but it's just folks like that that we're blessed to have with, whether it's Cumberland University or a business owner like yourself, Rick, or here at the bank, or no matter what, here in Wilson County. It's just a great place to live and good time period to be here.
Well, one thing I want to mention that you're the past president of the chamber. Is that right?
Yes,
And
sir. Chairman of the board. Yeah.
if you, chairman, excuse me.
Yeah.
If you just got a minute to address that, I think we don't appreciate the chamber and the staff, Melanie and her entire team. I don't think we appreciate them as much as we should. At least I think they deserve a lot of credit for a lot of things that happen here. And you had an inside look at that. What are your thoughts?
Man, there's no measure to the value of those ladies that work at the chamber, and not just do they work at the chamber, but they live the chamber. They are the chamber, and I still remember, before I became chairman of the board a couple of years ago, that a lot of chambers out there in the communities that they serve, they're not in the events business. Okay, that's not the major function of the chamber, is to put on events. That's just something that this chamber decides that, hey, that's what sets us apart from other chambers. We do help put on events in conjunction with the city of Lebanon and all of Wilson County and things of that nature. But it's not just that, but one of the biggest questions that people get is, what has the chamber done for me? Well, the chamber's done a lot for you that you don't even realize. I mean, they are truly an advocate for small business here in Wilson County, but not only small business, but also industry. You drive down 840 and the connections that the chamber has with those folks. And did you know, Rick, that typically when a company is looking at relocating here, before they go through the joint economic community development board and the recruitment stage and stuff like that, when they're researching the chamber, you would be blown away the number of calls that the chamber gets on a monthly basis about finding out who is the owner of a certain piece of property, which, I mean, that's not what the chamber does, right? And they typically had to do it, but they quickly learned here over this hot spell of the last 4 or 5 years how to research who property owners are, just to make those connections from companies that are thinking about relocating here to property owners here in Wilson County. So I've always said it's, the Lebanon Wilson County Chamber of Commerce isn't a branch of government, but it really is. It dabs in tourism, it dabs into government, it dabs into sports, economic development. I mean, education, you name it. And fortunately, that's where I got to serve a big part of through the chamber, is through the education division. And I tell everybody the same story. When I came into the chamber, they said, what interests you? Well, of course, I'm a big sports guy. So jumped on sports council, did that, ran the golf tournament for like 6 or 7 years. And then when the opportunity became available to run the education division, I'll tell you, I did it not from a heart position. I did it more for that's what the bank is passionate about. So, hey, why not? I'll go get back in education, but I'm not passionate about it. Well, at that time, I had a daughter. My daughter's now 8. My son's now 6. And when they started school, my daughter started school in 2020, right in the middle of the pandemic. And obviously, if there's any type of light that shed the value of our teachers here in Lebanon and Wilson County, it was the pandemic, because we became the teachers at home, right? Or the teacher was on a computer screen like you and I are, and the parents are left to kind of co-teach it with the teacher, and we're not teachers at home. So I quickly understood the value that a teacher provides from an emotional standpoint and just a caring standpoint for our kids as well in the school systems. But education, again, that's something that I will tell you that our teachers, it's something we all know, they are underpaid. And that's not just here, that's all across the country, the job that they do with our kids and what they have to deal with on a day-to-day basis.
They're a strong group of people that are, how do we change that? I mean, how do we change the culture? How do we get them appropriate pay for their efforts? So they're the backbone of our education system, and I don't know the answer to that. Do you have any? Yeah, how do we?
Well, I mean, that's a pretty decent answer. We're blessed, and I would tout that we have the #1 school systems in the state of Tennessee. Now, statistically, I think education in Wilson County, whether it's private schools with Mount Juliet Christian or Friendship Christian, the city schools and the county schools, I think statistically it's #2 in the state. But that is the main reason of why people move here. So, nobody likes the word tax, right? Or taxes. In order to increase teacher pay, you obviously have to have an increase in taxes or to be okay with that. And you really are going to get what you pay for, and you're already getting what you pay for through your taxes. So I think when tax referendums come aboard and stuff, whether it's property tax or sales tax here in the county, I think we have to be open minded about these kids that are in the school systems. They are our future leaders, and if we want this community to continue to thrive 15, 20 years down the road, obviously that costs money, and we have to be okay with footing the bill for that. And I hate to get on politics and taxation, all that jazz and stuff, but it truly is something that we are blessed with. But as topics like teacher pay do continue to come up, we have to be a little bit more open minded about, hey, we're the ones that sign those checks, so I mean, we have to be okay with paying for that.
There it is. There it is. Well, Mr. Baker, this has been a fun conversation. I really enjoyed
We've
it. It's all the time we have for today, but we covered some ground. It's great to know you, and we've never met, but I look forward to meeting you in the future. I might stop by the bank one day and just see how you're doing.
Yeah, and we have never met, but I have been out to your property before, and it was one year you had donated a fire pit for, I want to think it was either Taste of Wilson County or the Imagination Dinner. No, I'm sorry.
Both.
I'm sorry. I think it was something going on at the Morris household, and it may have been the Duck Derby or something. I can't remember what
Probably.
it was out there. You do amazing work with your fire pit business, and although we have never met face to face off of a computer screen, I look forward to the day that we do. And if there's ever anything I can do for you personally or professionally or anything, just let me know. Be willing to help.
And I'll be happy to do that. Well, folks, thank you for joining us today. And join us next week when we have another amazing guest like Mr. Baker.
Thank you, Rick.
As we wrap up another insightful episode of the Deep Dive, I want to express my sincere gratitude to the excellent guests we had today and also our loyal listeners. Special thanks go to our sponsors, Fire Pit Art, the best fire pits on the planet, and Powder Coat Art for high quality metal powder coating. If you've enjoyed this, please connect with us on social media and tell your friends how much you enjoyed the program. And always remember, when you want to find your way home, it's always bubbles up. Thanks. Have a good day.